Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast. If this is your very first time catching it, my name is Quinn Conyers, and I broadcast the brilliance of Black women in business who are also passionate about making a profit from public speaking. So if you know that for a fact that you have raised your hand to be an entrepreneur, but maybe you're also interested in speaking, or you're getting requests or messages to speak on other people's stages, you are in the right place, because I want to make sure that you can flourish and not fail in your career as an entrepreneur who speaks. Now, you know that I do my very, very best to find awesome and amazing guests who can really add value to you as you grow your career as a speaker and entrepreneur. And our guest today, I promise you, will not disappoint. I can personally admit and raise my hand that I have been a cheerleader and champion of this woman for some years now. Now, there are many people who are just joining the business, or maybe they are doing this for maybe a few years or a few months. But then every now and then you meet someone who got skin in the game, real skin in the game, someone who is not just doing it, but also making the voices of other people visible. And that's exactly what we're going to talk to about today with our very special guest. So I'm not going to keep her in the back way too long, because her voice needs to be seen and heard on so many platforms, especially the Speak Black Women podcast. And if you need your voice to be seen and heard through the media or other platforms, you really want to tune into this edition, because I promise you, our guest today is someone who you want to lean in and take notes from. So let me go ahead and make sure that I introduce our very special guest that we have today on the Speak Black Women podcast. And that is Miss Pam Perry. Hi, how are you? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me. You have always brought the energy. I don't even need coffee, girl. It's just on and popping.
Listen, I love it. Now, of course, I had told you that I am the unofficial fan club president of Pam Perry PR, right? I've explained that, you know that, but some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, who is Pam Perry? How do I not know about her? And what is this magazine that she is putting up? Well, let me give you some background. So Pam Perry, living legend in one of my books, is a PR agent, and literally she is an angel in this world. She makes our voices literally visible in her magazine called Speakers Magazine. And it really is for authors, entrepreneurs, and really thought leaders who look like us, you know, that really are on a journey to really be manifested, featured in the media. She also is on a mission to make sure you go from unseen to you are known. And also her career, again, she's not just starting out. She doesn't have 1 decade, 2 decades, but 3 decades of experience in PR and in the media industry. She is also the publisher of the infamous magazine, Speakers Magazine, which is the official partner of the Black Speakers Network, which is, you know, one of my very best friends, Brian Oles. I've talked about the magazine and I've talked about Brian. So she is the visionary behind that. So Pam, I know that you are multi-talented, and out of all the careers that you decided to choose, why PR and why publishing?
I am in love with words. I am a hype person. So when I was starting out, I was majored in journalism, and that was my career field. And I said, journalism. I said, well, do I want to be on TV? Do I want to be on radio? What is, newspaper reporter? And of course, I was trained in all of that in college, but I really enjoyed what the media can do for people in terms of the promotion, the publicity. And that's really where I landed. I landed that time after time, even though I worked for the Free Press, even though I worked for nonprofits, even though I would just land time after time as that person that really loved PR, really loved promoting, loved sharing the message, loved really being that hype girl. You say somebody has a hype man, I'm like the hype girl. And that was just where I always landed. And I just realized if I look at clues in my early childhood, I was always that person that was that hype person to rally people with my words, with the creativity of the promotion to get people to move and to do things. And so that's always been my bend. And I just love it. I mean, if it's something that I'm really passionate about, I'm going to share it. And so I had an epiphany one time when I was working for a company and I was just selling airtime. I was working for a radio station. I love talking to the clients. I love writing copy. I even voiced over some commercials, but I really liked promoting what the clients had personally, and not just my radio station buying airtime for me, but saying, you know what, you should probably also put something in the newspaper. You should probably send out a press release and so you can get something on TV. And I'm saying this on the side. It's like, but you're just my client from the radio station. Why are you telling me how to get more of the word out? Because I was excited about what they did. So it's always been in. I even do that at the Free Press too, as well. It's like, you know what? You can buy an advertising from me, but you may want to just also let's talk to the business editor and see if maybe they can do a feature. And if they can't do a feature, then I know someone else that can, because I had friends in the media all the time. So I was always that person that would help people share their stories, share their messages if they had a good message to share.
No, that's good stuff. So you just came out the womb and you just saw beyond. You had a strategy, right? They're
Yeah.
thinking radio, which I didn't know that. I was in radio for a couple of years as well, and I wrote commercials. I used to work for Radio One, so that's good. I didn't know that was part of your history. But yeah, I mean,
Clear Channel. Yeah, it was the Clear Channel.
Clear Channel. Okay, so I was Radio One. But yeah, no, that's awesome. So let's talk about, especially now, right? Because most people feel like if I got a social media page, I have a Clubhouse page or Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, that is all that I need to be successful as an entrepreneur, as a speaker. Why do people need PR in 2021 and beyond? Is it still relevant? I know it is, but for those people thinking, oh, I'm good. People are going to find me on Instagram when I, become viral or when I become an influencer, right? Why is there a need now for PR in 2021?
I think it is. It's like, I'm gonna just go with 3 because I can name like 10. Well,
okay,
I'm gonna do with 3. So anybody can say anything about themselves on their posts, on their Instagram, on their LinkedIn, on their Facebook. They could say anything. They could say, I've served 10 million people and I made $10 million in 10 days. They could just say whatever, right? It's just their page. They're the owner of their page. So it's not vetted. It's not really, it could be true or false, right? And then, so if you go in the media, it's vetted. It's more credibility. It's been vetted by a journalist who has ethics. How about that? Ethics.
Mm-hmm.
That's an old-fashioned word. So yes, so they have ethics. So if it is vetted through the media, then you know that it has to be true because they have the responsibility to make sure that with journalism standards. The second thing, if you only put stuff on social media and you don't use other outlets, you don't own that. So you're using Facebook or Instagram, whatever. You put something up, it gets blocked. They take it down. You're in Facebook jail. You in YouTube jail. Instagram is deleted. It was hacked. It was whatever. I don't know if anybody's ever had that happen to them, and then they're calling me like, oh, they deleted my Facebook or they deactivate. It's like you don't own it. Okay, so that's number 2, and then number 3 is part of a strategy. So it's part of a strategy for you to get out there and get known, which is named my podcast. But the point of it is that if you only just use that, the algorithms will note that this is a whole nother thing. If you're using apps, they don't like that. They like people to be physically there. So then you're seeing less people. Like if you're using Buffer or Hootsuite or whatever, they don't like that. So it's like, oh, I'm just going to use it on Hootsuite. Well, then you're going to have like a small amount of people seeing it. And then even if you don't and you do it native to the app, the same people are probably going to see it over and over again all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, Snap, Crackle, and Pop crew. Okay. So you're just saying the same message to the same Snap, Crackle, and Pop crew. They're not sharing it out. They're just seeing and say, oh yeah, I like your stuff, girl. Yeah, that's great. And you're not really getting any more visibility because the audience is stymied. And so those are like the main 3. You could lose it. It could be stymied. And then there's no credibility in it because people can say anything anywhere. I mean, Photoshop is for real.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so much fakeness out there. So people do look at social media and they scroll, but then when you see something that is in a newspaper or a magazine, or you hear them on a radio show, it has a little bit with a journalist that has credibility. Their credibility lends to yours, and that's really like the main thing. Social media is just a tool to drive people to a website.
No, I love that. And I've had the pleasure of interviewing a few people who've been on the cover of your magazine as well as inside the magazine as well. And you are doing a great job of really making the voices of speakers, especially Black speakers, very visible. Can you talk about some of the success? Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
That's Dr. Stacy. Love her to life.
Yes.
Yes. Becky Davis. Yes, one of my favorites as well. Good, good stuff.
So
Um,
a story about Becky with her
yeah.
being on the cover December 2020, her story ran, and then we typically do a press release to let people know that she's on the cover. And then with that story, other media get it. And so other media get it, they picked it up, and she ended up on Fox Soul because they read her story in the press release that she was in the cover of Speakers Magazine. And all of the people who are in here are also listed too. So if you were to do any SEO on any of the people, you would see that, you know, they're in there too. Dr. Stacy, the fourth time being on the cover, her program is always sold out. And her PR that she gets is all over, like from New York to California, you know, so we do the press releases on that as well. And we help her with her press conferences. And it's just grown. It just expands her footprint in terms of where she is. It's like, yes, she's known in New York, but now it's in other places. It's in Texas, it's in California, it's in Atlanta because of this. It's like, oh, okay, well, she's on the cover. She has an event. Oh, her event is in New York. So she has a lot of people that come from other states to this event. So that's one of the reasons why I really do that, so that people can know. Even with Brian, you know, Brian was on the cover as well from Black Speakers Network. So it just really gives you more validity. Instead of you talking about how wonderful you are, it's another publication that you can share and give out to people and say, hey, I've been featured in Speakers Magazine. So that's really my main thing of that. And so Brian's event was a very successful event. That was in September 2020. So obviously you were there.
Yeah, I am Speed. I MC that event. So yes,
Yeah.
you're so right. And no, and you mentioned it. That was my next question. What types of success, have some of your clients received as a result of the publicity of being in the magazine? You mentioned Fox Soul. Is there any other people that come to mind that they were either featured or wrote an article or on the cover, and it really kind of came back to them with some opportunities?
Yeah, PR as well as bookings. I mean, so the whole thing is for people to get booked. So Precious Williams is always, she was in the magazine and she gets booked all the time. And part of that is leveraging the PR that she gets in Speakers Magazine. Portia Lockett, she's booked in all the time. And people will say that I saw you in Speakers Magazine. She was in there more than once. Jimna said that she takes the magazine because they all get physical copies, and she mailed it to conference speakers. I'm saying conference hosts, and they actually then booked her for her event. And I think she said she got paid like $5,000.
Nice.
She physically mailed the copy and said, "Hey," marked her page, and said, "Hey, I'm on page such and such," and they kept it. And then the next time they needed a speaker, then Jimna said that they called her and said, "Hey, we want to book you," and that was it. And of course, they probably had to look at her website and all that other stuff too. But just to have this physically in their hands, and you bookmark the page and you send it to someone, that means a lot, right? It's just like, oh, okay, versus like, okay, let me just go and just kind of like look online. But they actually had a physical copy that they can actually mail out, or they go to an event and people will say, I'd like some information, because they can actually then have their own particular page by themselves too, and just print that out as well. So there's different ways you could use these marketing tools. But one of the main things is that it's as seen in Speakers Magazine, which I see all the speakers who don't have any media, they have the logo of Speakers Magazine now on their site. A lot of them, they didn't have any media. So now they can say as seen in Speakers Magazine. So it's a good boost, a good starting point for a lot of speakers who don't have media exposure. So now on their websites, it'll have different things. And so from having speakers, media begets media. So now they can kind of share that out there, share their page to a podcast, or share their page to another television station, whatever it is, so that they can get other media outlets to say, hey, this is a good person we need to showcase. So yeah.
No, that's good. And I still have my copies of Speakers Magazine, because you're right. I was featured.
Yeah, you could give them out.
Say it again.
You can give them out to, key people like, I don't know, National Association of Black Women, Black professional women, whatever. Send it to the president. Book, sticky mark your page and say, hey, I just thought you'd like to have a copy of this magazine. I'm on page 30, whatever. And they'll see it and they'll keep it and they'll save it.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. I've been doing that with my book, but it's good for people to have that as well. So I'm gonna have to include that into my strategy. So I love that. And again, if any type of media that you have just boosts your credibility as a speaker. So anything that you can do, and we'll talk about an opportunity if someone says, "Oh my gosh, I want to be a part of Speakers Magazine. Either I want to be featured or I want to write an article." Don't worry, I'm going to give you an opportunity because I know Pam will definitely share with us how to do that. But before I do that, we're going to take a quick little break. I want to just kind of show you guys for some of you who are brand new and some of you literally have been following me and rocking and rolling with me and you're part of the Speak Black Woman tribe. If you haven't already done so, make sure you go to speakblackwoman.com because the book Speak Black Woman, How Women in Business Can Profit from Public Speaking is now available. If you order it right from me, you'll get an autographed copy. It's also available on Amazon, Target, and Barnes & Nobles, as well as Walmart is coming soon. If you're interested to know, we just got some people from Natalie Williams, Mathina James Brightful. We got Janetta Hardy Bozeman, who is over the Entrepreneurship Center at Bowie State University, who had raving reviews about the book. So if you are a Black woman who is also passionate about making a profit from public speaking, make sure you check out the Speak Black Woman book. That is also an extension of the Speak Black Woman podcast. I'm super excited. Brian Olds, who is a partner with Pam Perry, and it's the official magazine, actually wrote the foreword, and then Marshall Fox actually designed the cover. So I'm BSN all the way. So I definitely reached out. So let's talk about this for a second, because I know that there are many speakers who listen to this podcast. I mean, it's the Speak Black Woman podcast, right? I'm a cheerleader. I'm a champion for us using our voices in every aspect of our business to grow our business, our book, and our brand. And what if someone is sitting there like, wow, Dr. Stacy was on the cover 4 times. I saw Brian, I saw Becky Davis. What do I need to do to get on the cover? What's the process to do that? Or how do you choose who's your cover girl or cover woman? Because I know Nicole Roberts Jones, I mean, some of my favorite people who, as a previous guest on the Speak Black Women podcast, are on the cover, and somebody might be thinking, hey, I'm a speaker, Pam. What do I need to do to get considered? What's your process?
So one of the things with the very first few years we had, our first cover was George Frazier. He was a natural cover. One, he's my mentor. And then also we debuted at Power Networking Conference. And so we then had the model to have every speaker have an event. And then that event would be where we would share the magazine, the physical magazine. So all of the guests at the conference got the magazine with their conference host on the cover. So that was number one. So that was 2017. That was 4 years ago. So 2017, same thing with 2018. 2017, I was at the event. We had the magazines there. I did the PR social for that event. So that's how that worked. So really, in a sense, they're hiring me to do the on-site social media as well as also doing the PR for the conference. So all of the people that are there, they have basically like a publicist that's also their publisher. So that's kind of like the main thing. Inside, definitely that's not you don't have to do that. I'm not like your publicist. So to be inside in the pages, they would just basically go to speakersmagazine.net/advertorial. If they have all of the elements that will make our magazine look good, they have to have professional photos. They have to have a speaker reel. They have to have a very nice bio. They don't have to have spoken at a whole lot of places, but they do have to have a website. They do have to have a website, and they have to have certain elements that I require in order for conference hosts to look at it and say, these are some qualified Black speakers. I love them. So obviously the speaker reel, the bio, the professional photos, the website, the social media, those are the ones on the inside. But the covers are really like the clients. A lot of my brand accelerators are going to be covers because I'm working with them now. So for 2022, they will have events. They will also have the brand put together and really stellar. And so those are the ones. So we've had covers. Les Brown's been on the cover again. I went to his event as well. So actually, I was like the publicist for his event. Les Brown was one. Cookie had an event, but she was an event for another client. So the client put her on the cover, but she brought Cookie in. So long as it's like the person that hires me as a promotion of the event, that's how I work. That's the business model for Speakers Magazine. And it's true to me because I'm a publicist first. A publisher came later, so that's really like the main thing. And then of course we do the social, we do the video lives, we do all these other things as well. So it's a whole, when the reach of it is just with the digital portion of over 100,000 people, then we do the press releases and they get that all the other stuff too as well. So yeah, if you have an event, those are the things where you're on the cover.
Okay, nice. That's good to keep in mind for myself and for anybody who's listening right now, to know what it takes. Now, you mentioned something because somebody might be thinking, oh my gosh, I'm just starting out. I might not have a headshot. I might not have a reel. You have a program that people can get involved in to really amp up their PR. You want to talk about that for a second? What's the program you offer to speakers?
The program for like beginners is Ready, Set, Go, Speak. So it really takes people through the different phases. So the ready phase is really like understanding your messaging, understanding why do you want to do this, helping you get your skin a little bit thick because it will be some rejection. So it's like a whole mindset to really get your mindset ready for what you're about to embark in. Because when you pitch yourself to the media or pitching yourself to, you're going to get no's. So really the whole mindset of that ready phase. And then the set phase, once you have all the messaging correct, why you're doing what you're doing, who you're called to serve, who you are, then the set phase is the easy part. Then it's the brand shot. Then it's the tactics. It's the website. It's the speaker career. It's all the fun stuff that people like that makes them look like $1 million, right? So I show them how to really do that part. And then the go phase is like, okay, we got our messaging, we got the stuff. Now let's go pitch. So the pitching part is what I teach people to of how to really pitch. And so this is all like in a self-paced membership program, and they're pitching, and I give them media leads every single week. Every single week, they get fresh media leads. I tell them who to call, what their websites are, what their emails are, what they're looking for, and who it is. I mean, every single week. So right now, there's like hundreds and hundreds of media leads. So I want them to get used to pitching to over and over again to different people. And then the Ready, Set, Go, Speak is when they're actually showing up. They're showing up on the podcast. They're showing up in the newspapers. They're writing the blogs. They are going on the stages, but they're speaking in power. It's like they're speaking in power, and they're connecting with other people as well, with other people in the community as well in the Ready, Set, Go, Speak program. So it's a phase, but in there they also go through a course that really helps them get ready. So they go through a course. It's like 14 modules. They go through that, and then they also have a vault. They have a forum. They have media leads. So it's really like their marketing PR department for them personally, so they can do it at their own pace. But I really do want them to go stage by stage. Like, okay, this is phase 1. Ready, set, go, speak. Because what happens is people want to start doing their website and doing their pictures, and they don't even know who their audience is, what it is that they want to do. Because if you have a brand shoot, but if you know what your brand is, how are you going to tell the photographer what kind of props you want or what kind of pictures you want to have? I mean, you haven't set still in the ready phase. So a lot of times I tell people, I said, that's the hardest part for extroverts maybe to do, to really sit still and to really figure out like what it is that they need to do in order to go to the next phase. They have to be in introspective. They have to be true and honest to themselves. They have to realize what is the problems that people are going to pay you to solve. And those are things that aren't sexy. I'd rather do a brand shoot. I'd rather do social media. I'd rather get on the podcast. I'd rather somebody be on somebody's TV show. It's like, no, we need to sit still and get your messaging right. And that's the hardest part to get people to understand. I'm just a motivational speaker. Well, what kind? Who?
Right.
It's so much to it. So it looks easy when they see other people doing it. When they see you do it, it's like, I want to be like Quinn. It's like, but Quinn has been on her journey for a while. She knows exactly
16 years.
Yes, she knows who she is, what she's called to do, who she's called to serve, and what her brand is all about. But that came from time. So it won't happen in like a month. It will happen over time, but you do need direction and guidance. So the whole thing is really to give people direction and guidance. There's some books in there for people to read as well, because I said you got to understand what platform building means, and so that's in there as well. So it's like the basics, but it's so that it's so simple so they won't get confused, because when they start hiring out other people, they understand why I told them to do certain things in certain sequences. It's like, oh, okay, now I see. So yeah, so I really, that was like something that I put together that I really am so proud of, because I realized that the things that I knew from my career of 3 decades, how do I synthesize it down so it's not overwhelming, but it also will move people forward. So that was the program that I came up with, where it's video teaching, as well as a forum, as well as media leads and a vault of information, not just all information. So, and then also too, there's videos in there as well from master classes that I teach. So yeah, it's a thing that I just see some people doing things wrong out of sequence, but they just needed some guidance, you know.
Well, that's good. And it sounds, very comprehensive. And I love that you are doing that, because I think a lot of times when you enter this speaking space, and, myself included, you're trying to figure out your voice. You know that you want to speak, but you as you do it, you figure out like what you're really good at. Like, I love training, I love keynoting, but I really, really enjoy, emceeing, and that didn't come overnight. I was already doing it. It just wasn't a focus, but now I decided to focus on that. So sometimes it is really good to have a roadmap of someone who not only understands the speaking industry, but they really understand the publicity, the PR industry as well, because there's no use to being a great speaker, but nobody knows about you. So I love it. So it comes to that time right now, Miss Pam Perry, that I want you to broadcast your brilliance. What that means is, how can people get in contact with you if they want to learn more about Pam Perry PR, if they want to learn more about Speakers Magazine? Where can they go to get more of you?
Well, that's great. Well, it's very simple. It is at one stop shop, PamPerryPR.com. So that's where you can find everything. So when you go to Pam Perry PR, you can get a video that you can download, and it's called 7 Things That the Media Would Like You to Have if you want to get booked. So they can get that for free. And then they can also learn about Speakers Magazine, the Brand Accelerator course, which is a cohort that opens up in the fall. They can get information about Ready, Set, Go, Speak. So it's all one-stop shop at PamPerryPR.com.
I love it. Pam Perry PR. Love it. Love the alliteration. It just goes so great. So Pam, stick around for a while. Do you have any last minute words for any speakers who are really, really interested in getting more PR before we come to a close?
I would say the main thing is to get your foundational things right. Make sure that your foundational things are right. I want to say it is a business, and to make sure that you run it like a business. Separate bank accounts, legal stuff, tax stuff. Joining professional organizations are very important. Learn the industry. Have a coach. Read books, go to conferences, and really just absorb all the information. Get a mentor. Even if you can't have a mentor or a coach that you pay, at least have a mentor from afar. So read everything that person. Follow people that you admire online. So many times people are like, oh, I really like them. I said, well, are you following them on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? Are you looking at what they're doing? Are you really absorbing the information? And so I just want to say, just stay curious. Always be about excellence, and don't think that everything happens overnight. Be patient and be consistent. That's what branding is.
I love that. And what you just mentioned is called what I call mentors in my mind, right? Like, they don't know that I exist. I'm just consuming their information, watching from afar. And you'd be surprised. A few of my mentors in my mind have become like, we have relationships now, right? So it's interesting how you can really manifest that. Well, Pam, I just want to thank you so much for your words of wisdom, your nuggets. Stick around for 1 second. I just want to close out, and I'm going to come back to you. There you have it, y'all. Pam Perry from Pam Perry PR. If you are a speaker, you are an entrepreneur, and you know that you have something to say, you definitely want to make sure that PR publicity is a part of your strategy. If you love this episode, do 2 things for me. Make sure you download it and also leave a review, because we want to make sure that more people know about publicity and PR for their entrepreneurial and speaking business. But we really want to make sure people know about Speakers Magazine and Pam Perry PR. With that being said, I want to personally thank thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast with Pam Perry. We actually have editions that come on live 4:00 every Wednesday at YouTube. And you can also go to the speakblackwoman.com app to also learn about how you can, of course, get information and nuggets on how you can use your voice in every aspect of your business. Again, my name is Quinn Conyers. It's been my honor and my pleasure to be your Speak Black Woman podcast host. I'll see you next week with an awesome and amazing guest that will show you how to broadcast your brilliance and speak up as a Black woman. I'll talk to you soon.